to deal with an Akali in the mid lane.
So I just checked out that the ban's already coming on through, apparently. The final ban, I was expecting it to be Akali, but I just checked, actually, it was Corki. So I guess we're going to be seeing an Akali coming on through here. So Gragas, Orion Sol, Orianna, and Corki. A lot of mid laners going to be
taking the
back
lines. Otherwise, it is just going to melt. And for anyone who's looking at this draft and being like, well, hey, you guys were just talking about how strong this Akali is. Why wasn't it first picked then? It actually might have been. The draft was actually done through chat on outside of the app. The reason for that being that not everyone has all of the champions available. So, for instance, the jungler for Futbolist, Swiss, was their first pick just because of the order of where they are in the lobby. And if he doesn't have Akali, but they owned by these players on their accounts. So that's the reasoning for why the draft is sometimes done outside of the game client, like we've had here in this first matchup.
Hoping that in the future, private lobbies, you can have all the champions that you want to use. That will make matters a little bit easier, especially for community-run tournaments, and also add bans in ranked. Like they can just ban Akali 24/7. That'll make my life so much easier. But now into this game, once again, it is 1-0 so far in favor of Futbolist, and they are looking pretty good after that first matchup. If they take it, they're taking the series 2-0, and they'll be game done, and we'll be making our way for the second series towards Na'Vi and Team Tribe, as we'll be seeing how things are going to be rolling. But regardless, right now, after a little bit of a passive state, we are going to be having a little bit of a usual lane swap coming on through, especially Ebu and Memorize going for the top side. It's going to be exactly the same for both Elpis and also for the Malphite played by Pigas. So Malphite support on this one. Intrigued to see how that one is going to be pairing up. Early game, you are expecting Ebu to get a little bit of an edge thanks to those ricochets, making it hard for Futbolist to respond. But especially when they hit level 5 power spike, Futbolist are going to unlock an entire potential kit of damage going their way. So it's going to be very scary for Team Queso to deal with once that level 5 comes on through.
Yeah, and the other thing here is the fact that the lane swap was matched. So we do pretty much have standard lanes just on the opposite side of the map. As Akali and Fiora going to be going toe-to-toe here in the Dragon lane instead of up on the Baron lane. We'll see how long this lane swap lasts. A lot of times, especially if it does get matched like this, you'll see teams pretty much just swap right before the dragon spawns so that they can have the numbers game in their favor, or at least even if both teams do it when that objective is ready to go.
Especially because the first Drake is going to be Infernal, so it's going to be making it even more important for these two teams to revert to a 2v2 in the bottom side of the map to make sure you can get control early on and facilitate your access to that Dragon Pit, because Infernal, we know it, every single team in this tournament loves it, except for Game Lord, apparently. They've been struggling a little bit with those. They're going to be seeing Andrew said, and also Memorize, going to get himself the Scuttle towards the top side, which normally you would like to have a Scuttle trade, which is exactly what Swiss is going to do. 50-50 on both sides, so off to a pretty normal start of the game for them. But we are now 2 minutes in. Nothing out of the ordinary, though. I'm going to be seeing especially Swiss going for a little bit of an invade towards that Gromp, going to get himself a little bit more pressure. We do see Lee Sin sometimes go for tower dives very early on, so I would not be surprised to see him potentially go for an opportunity to just surprise that Fiora. But especially without level 5, I'm not expecting much of him at this stage. But he is there. He's looking for it. Going to steal away the heal, and he's just going to jump right through, tanks the tower, and Acolyte just can't heal anymore. So that's actually a pretty impactful move from Swiss.
Yeah, that's actually one of my favorite things to see done in games is early on, whether it's the jungler doing it or if it's the laner, if you're able to push in, is go in, steal that honey fruit away, and just deny your opponent the opportunity to be able to heal up. And because everyone kind of banks on having that little pocket heal at some point. You can go in, have a trade, whether it goes even or even if it goes slightly unfavorable, you can back off, hit that honey fruit, get that bit of healing. But if it gets stolen away from you, like we just saw there, you've stolen away basically for free. Just as Lee Sin is just passing through right before he's going to recall, he just goes ahead and takes it. Now all of a sudden it forces the early recall. We are going to be seeing the lane swap come through once again, as both teams going to be kind of reverting back to the normal state of play now that we are a little over 30 seconds away from the dragon.
Yeah, as you called it, because they just need to prepare for the Infernal Drake. And the Vision also, thanks to the Scuttle, is going to be able to maybe set up for some extra warding, especially for the side of Futbolist, as Swiss was able to get control of that early on. So the wards are going to be key for both of these teams. So there you go now, 30-second timer on the clock. Yasuo also going to set up his reset was memorized, so they are slowly going to make their way towards that position, especially Wukong going to finish the red buff and get himself fully stacked up for that next engage. And now we've seen it. This next fight is going to be happening in the next 15 to 30 seconds, and it's going to be a big one for sure. Now, because of the early game power spike, we said it, level 5 for the Kennen, for especially Pigas on the Malphite, that is a big early game power spike. So I'm thinking that here Futbolist, also thanks to Akali, they potentially have the better chances early on to take that fight, unless we have a sick wombo combo onto the Pulverized into the Yasuo ultimate of Ruiz. That could be turning the tides heavily in favor of Team Queso. So it's mainly going to be down to execution to see which of these two teams will be able to get that early lead.
And one very small thing that to note here is actually the members of Queso snuck an extra recall in for their bot lane duo. So a little bit of extra itemization available to them than what is on the board for Futbolist, as this dragon fight is going to be kicking off here shortly. They're trying to find a pick onto the Misfortune, but instead it could be Sweets. He has to burn the Dragon's Kick just to get himself out of the enemy jungle. And that's going to be a big ultimate not available for this fight.
A little bit of a safe play. I think he would have been collapsed upon pretty heavily, so he wants to make sure he's not taking any big initial damage. Yasuo misses the Tornado. Kennen onto the backline. He wants to go for the instant CC, which I do like how Caglian is currently playing this position. But though Drake has been getting ticked down pretty heavily from both sides, it's going to get reset though, so it seems like we can have a little bit of an even-Steven standoff between these two teams. No one gets the Drake. Though, because of how they're positioned, that's going to be Team Queso going straight for the mid tower, and that is an immense trade-off. And they're going to get so much control in the later stages. They're trying to do similar things in the bottom side for Futbolist, but we will know that at the end, mid lane turret is a lot more important and gives them also a lot of gold right now.
One, mid lane turret is a lot more important. Two, it allows Queso to immediately move back onto the dragon with all 5 members. This thing's going down quick. Here comes the fight.
Malphite instantly going to be going for the unstoppable force. Not going to be able to have a huge follow-up from his team, but though that is not looking great. The bullet time from a distance from EB is great. He's going to get focused down by Rek'Na. He's got a shield though, a few attacks, and that's going to be over. Rek'Na able to survive that one, but Ruiz is going to be flashing his way forward, looking for the kill. Will be able to find it, and this is Futbolist down to 2. Elpis and also Caglian. And this is not looking great for them. Team Queso might just be able to get himself the Drake off of this, and they're going to put their focus on it instantly. So at the end, good execution, but that bullet time, especially from Ebu, was key to the winning of Team Queso.
Absolutely, although now Dragon is going to be secured, but that team fight, it just looked like a bounce house. I mean, it's like a children's birthday party in the river. There was Wukong knockup, Yasuo knockup, Alistar knockup, everybody just bouncing all around. Malphite on the other side, as well as the Lee Sin, just so many champions just getting knocked up into the air repeatedly. It's actually quite fun to watch, just seeing the bouncing champions in that fight. But and that's what we're going to be expecting to see more and more of as this game continues, because this combo of the Wukong, Alistar, and Yasuo can just do so much work, and especially, like, I mean, that bullet time kind of came in a little bit late. If that comes in at the start of that fight while everyone's getting knocked up repeatedly, that fight's over in an instant. So that's going to be very, very worrying for the side of Futbolist if they are not able to find a way to kind of split once these team fights start. And that kind of goes against what they want with the Kennen and Malphite engage. Like, they kind of want everyone grouped as well. But if they're not able to get onto this Misfortune, they're going to be in for a bad, bad time.
And that's why I just love Alistar. Misfortune one-way combo, headbutt Pulverize into a bullet time, makes it so hard to really deal with for Futbolist. But there you go, Herald going to be smited away by the side of Wukong. The monkey's going to get it. Memorized, though, been taking a lot of damage. He almost tried to take it 1v1 with the Akali, which, as an Alistar main, I would not recommend. I don't think that as a fighter, Alistar is bound to win, so the Cowman's going to have to move away from that position entirely. But at the end, that is a really good pickup from Team Queso. They are looking to be in the lead as of right now, and that Infernal Drake is going to be key for the later stages. Over is into the top side, going to get a nice little trade-off onto Elpis, down to now 2/3 HP. Yasuo instantly onto Malphite, doesn't have time to pop anything to escape that fight entirely, and that is going to be a very dead pile of rock. As the Team Queso, now they've been applying pressure. They've been looking to not give away a comeback for free to Futbolist, so they're looking to be in a really good spot. As there you go, Herald in the top side, going to get that plate down, some extra gold into the pockets of Team Queso. The team will be there to follow up, but Sweet's got to be careful. Going to go for the Dragon's Kick, does hit one. Is that going to be a kill onto Acolyte? No, 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 and leaves an instant regret. Team Queso dominant in that top lane fight.
Yeah, this Fiora starting to get a lead, and we saw what happens when that happens. But right now, Kennen goes in with the big ultimate. They do not get anyone off this either. Wow. And Team Queso is absolutely destroying this matchup right now.
Going in one by one, maybe not what you want to do for Futbolist, especially when you are somewhat behind, and that's going to force a big response on Team Queso. Going back to base, some extra itemization is now underway for the next few seconds, so that's going to be an entire new power spike that I'm not sure Futbolist are going to be happy-chappy to deal with whatsoever. Elpis also is going to be looking to get himself that red buff, so he's going to be looking a little bit better in that fight. But especially Elpis going towards the usual build with the Blade of the Ring King. We saw it especially as of recently in the patch 2.18. Because of that nerf, it does delay your ability power-ups by a decent margin because you do have less AD base ratio on the item. So she is going to be delaying that power spike a little bit. So the moment she gets that extra third item under her belt, that's where she could potentially look to get a good fight. But seeing how Team Queso have been playing, they don't want that power spike to happen, and they're going to try and close off this game ASAP. So the next Drake is going to be mounting up in just a few seconds. So there's maybe another entire engage that Team Queso are going to try and force to make their lead even more dominant in many ways.
Yeah, and I mean, just look at the gold leads across the board. You have 8,000 gold on Misfortune and Yasuo. 7,000 is the highest on any member of the side of Futbolist. You've got 2 items completed for those 2 champions I was just talking about, whereas the most completed is the 1.5 on this Kaisa. So big advantages when fights happen.
Oh no, Memorize. He wasn't able to do the headbutt. He just did the pulverize. I do that so many times because if you do miss vision for half a second, it just actually cancels your animation onto the headbutt and you just do the pulverize alone. So a little bit of an F for Memorize, but they will not be able to find an opportunity there. But that's still a great Drake coming their way. Futbolists are trying to find a response with this Baron, which I think is maybe a little bit of a mistake. They're not going to be able to do too much straight away. Reckner going to go for the backline. Yasuo 2-man ultimate on 2 backline characters. This is not looking great on Futbolists. They're going to be struggling. The Drake, where does it go? Gets secured away for Futbolists. So actually, no, it's going to be... Oh, I lied. It's actually Team Queso that got it for a second. I got mistaken. They're going to continue going for the kills, and that is going to be Fiora up to a double kill. There's not much the Futbolist can do right now. Reckner is able to survive. Okay, I take it back. Stasis is going to pick up that kill. And Riz running away, and the Yasuo, if he gets ahead, is a very scary champion to go up against.
Yeah, and it didn't work out there, but I absolutely love the idea from the side of Futbolist, knowing that they're behind. If you just try and play this game out normally, you're just going to give up more and more and more and eventually lose the game. So they tried to make something happen. They tried to say, hey, we know they're going to go for this dragon. Let's try and sneak a Baron, but they just were not able to secure it fast enough. Members of Queso were able to answer, and they do get the complete sweep there. They get the kills, they get the Baron, they get the dragon. Absolutely everything you could have wanted for the side of Queso. They are destroying Futbolist in this game. 10-0 on the kills, 47,000 to 35,000, a 12k gold lead. Absolutely nuts for the side of Queso. Like, it's so difficult to try and come back from a situation like this. Like, they made their desperation play, kind of that Baron play. That was their opportunity. That was really their last ditch effort to get back in this game. And because it didn't go the way they wanted, it's now pretty much going to be a done deal unless Queso makes a dramatic mistake. And honestly, probably multiple dramatic mistakes need to be made in order for Futbolist to come back in this game.
And then knowing Team Queso is not really something they tend to do quite a bit. And just said they're going onto the front line. That is an enemy Twilight Shroud. You can't hide inside of it. I know you would love to, but Andres said that is not how the game works. As now they're going to be pushing their way forward. Thanks to that inhib tower earlier, they're going to be good. And they're going to be looking for more. Straight away engage up into Caglian. Not much you can really do on that engage. An extra tower falls, and this is looking like it's just about to be game. We might just be going to game 3. Team Queso, they're not going to focus down the Nexus just yet. Going to look for the extra kills if possible, though they got to be careful. Futbolists are still around the corner, and especially Pigas on the Malphite still got himself his good ultimate. Going to go for an engage. Nope, to get the insane amount of CC, but Akali gets melted by the backline of Team Queso. The bullet time connects, and this is indeed going to be game. And a game number 3 just around the corner for our matchup of Futbolist versus Team Queso.
And what a huge difference a game makes. Game number 1, super back and forth, very close the entire way. Game number 2, Team Queso, they got that early lead and they just dominated this all the way down until the Nexus falls.